Hello everyone, it's Sylvia from Fairlight Tarot. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at decks I cannot pick up no matter what. And this comes after a video that I posted, I think last week, about decks that I can't put down no matter what. So that video had a lot of reactions, a lot of views. It seemed to be popular, and there was also a little bit of a discussion going on about the decks. And I really liked that, I really enjoyed that. And on the other hand, some of you actually suggested, okay, well, these are clearly decks that you really enjoy using, but are there decks that you don't enjoy using? And we're all humans, so obviously, yes, there are decks that I don't enjoy using. And I thought, should I make a video about, not knowing what to call it? And I thought, okay, should I just make a mirror video to decks that I can't put down, so decks that I can't pick up? But I don't want it to sound like I'm bashing decks, because that's really not my intention. With this video, I want also to reach out to the community and ask for help. Because when I don't reach out for a deck and I have no other reasons why to keep it, for example, it could be a collectible item. In that case, I would never rehome it. But generally speaking, that deck ends up, being rehomed. And just a heads up, there's a huge rehoming video that I already shared with my members to give them the possibility to, acquire one of the decks if they so wish, and it will be released to the public very soon, within a few days. So this is not a video in which I'm going to say something negative about decks. It is just a video about me asking the tarot community to perhaps help me enjoy these decks that I can't pick up no matter what. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is not going to be any surprise, because if you watch my channel, you will know how many times I've actually tried to use the Serpent Fire Tarot. It is an indie deck. This is the 7th edition, and Devani was saying that this is the last edition. So obviously 7th edition is the mark of a very successful deck. And it's a great deck. It's, as I said, an indie deck. This box is absolutely really, really beautiful. The feeling of, the quality, it feels really, really good. And it's got all the details. The guidebook is very nice as well. By the way, I just realized that I still have some ink spots on my fingers. Sorry about that. I've been playing with my inks. You will know that I absolutely love fountain pen inks, and sometimes it gets messy. And even though I did wash my hands in some cases, it just doesn't go away. Some blacks or dark grays just don't go away. And it was just this morning. So the guidebook is really good because it really goes into depth by also giving you some kind of a different way to approach the card. So I'm looking at the Page of Cups. Okay, so it says emotionally free. I don't know if you can see. Let me just zoom in so we can actually see that. So the Page of Cups, emotionally free. That's a different take on the Page of Cups. Because the Page of Cups for me is the archetype of the, let's say, the empath. Is the person who's always related to somebody else's feelings. And because it is a page, and as we know in the evolution of the core cards is the first step. So obviously what happens is that Pages of Cups should be protected. So if you are a parent and you think that your child is an empath, so it will be incarnating the spirit in the meaning of the Page of Cups, I highly recommend try and protect him, in the sense that sometimes because they're a page, they haven't matured a sense of border, knowing when to protect themselves from somebody else's feelings, and it can be overwhelming at times. So for me, to go from that meaning of the card to emotionally free, I think it's liberating, Because instead of looking at the Page of Cups and thinking, okay, they have all the feels, and sometimes because they're pages, they can't protect themselves, they could be overwhelmed, etc. We look at a slightly different concept. So we're still referring back to the emotions, which is correct, because we're talking about the Suit of Cups, which is the Suit of Water, and the alchemical element of water refers back to the fluidity of the feelings and the emotions. But on the other hand, emotionally free. So that is really fascinating to me. And, I love the card book. So obviously you look at the key or keywords, freedom from bonds, new horizons, self-trust. So that's a different take, you see, altogether to at least my idea of the Page of Cups and the archetype that it represents. It's got the upright meaning, the shadow meaning, and a mantra. I love that, and for many of these cards I actually have to thank this deck because it did give me the opportunity to learn more about tarot and the way to interpret the cards, which is always really welcome. But I just cannot bring myself to use this deck, and I don't know whether I suspect that it's because it's borderless, which is kind of counterintuitive for me because I generally speaking like borders. However, I can't say that for sure, in the sense that sometimes I like borders, sometimes I actually don't like them. So maybe there is another version, I don't remember which edition that is. I do believe that it might be the 4th edition, but I could be completely wrong, which has really beautiful borders, not just, white borders or not just black borders. They have a little bit of a motif. And so I'm thinking, when I use this deck, because it's not a matter of liking this deck, it's a matter of using this deck. So I've been forcing myself to pick it up. I've actually used this deck, for very specific parts of my practice. And each and every time, and that's probably a wrong thing to do, forcing yourself to do something never works. So every time that I was going to reach out for it because I was in that space of mind in which I needed to use something like that, I actually ended up all the time picking up the Star Child Tarot instead. Sorry, let me just zoom out a little bit because that's too close up otherwise. So when I find myself in a position of, wanting to use a deck for a very specific reason, but ending up using a different one instead, that's what I mean by decks that I cannot pick up no matter what, because I'm really investing my time and my practice time into using a deck. And by the way, the cardstock is phenomenal. It's one of those really beautiful auditory feelings when you do like this with the cards. They produce that kind of ASMR sound that is very soothing. I really love it. So there's a number of things that you would think I would actually reach out for this deck, and I just don't. So that's the cry of help to the tarot community. First of all, do you think that for the ones of you that have the bordered, so the version with the borders, do you think it's got a different feel to it? Would I like it? And please let me know if you have this deck and you like using it. What do you use it for? And does it cover a very specific part of your practice? And just to show you, very quickly, these two in comparison. Although, is it a fair comparison? I don't know, because the Star Child Tarot has a lot of those cosmic and slash almost desert feels to it that sometimes it's not fair, because the Serpent Fire doesn't feel cosmic to me. The Star Child does. So I don't know whether it's a fair comparison, but I'm just going to show you these two decks together. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to show you the reason why instead of picking up the Serpent Fire, I actually reach out for the Star Child. In many cases, these two decks may feel similar. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, because in my head, I put them together in the same space. Even though, as I said, it's not necessarily the case. There's also another deck, the Radiant Wilds Tarot, by Natalie Ginsberger, which is very similar to the Serpent Fire as well. It gives me those kind of feelings, and it pairs up really, really nice with the, there's an oracle deck, I think it's called by Yasmin Boland. It's the Moonology, it's one of the Moonology decks. I think it's Moonology Messages, I could be wrong. And I like pairing up, you know, the Moonology Messages with the Radiant Wilds. And, you know, and every time I tell myself, and it will pair up really well with the Serpent Fire, why don't I take the Serpent Fire out of the shelf? And then I always end up picking up the Star Child Tarot. So I don't know, it might be something just, you know, maybe it's just me. But I feel that perhaps also because the Star Child Tarot, I have a larger book. So maybe that's one of the reasons why. In any case, so this is the scope of this, let's say, video. I'm not bashing the decks. I'm asking for help to the community to let me know, you know, when you have one of these specific decks, why do you like it? Why do you pick up? Because I'm not going to rehome these decks. I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not going to rehome this, especially because the Serpent Fire, Devani made it very clear that she was not going to reprint another version. So this is going to be it. And if you don't have it, you know, it's, I don't know whether it's still in stock at a few retailers, but, you know, it is a possibility that it might go out of print, or maybe it is already out of print, it might become hard to find, and so on and so forth. So if you're a collector, that's a big no-no, you know, giving away these decks, even though you don't use them. Let me know what you think. The next deck should not be a surprise either, because I've talked about this deck a couple of times, and it's the Mystic Mondays Tarot by Grace Duong. So this deck is a mass market deck, and it's got a bit of a story. You probably know the story if you watch my videos. I bought it at a retailer in Sydney, Kinokuniya. I have no problems in saying that. Their return policy is rather strict, especially on, well, I don't know if it's just on decks. It might be on books, it might not be. In any case, the return policy on decks is you can return them, but only within a certain amount of time. So when I saw that there were a few cards that were damaged, even though the deck was sealed, I, you know, I went back and I told them, look, it's damaged. I showed them the cards. At that time, though, it was during COVID, and it was one of the times in which shops were closing, then reopening, then reclosing. We were going in and out of lockdowns. It was a bit messy. And so the girl at the counter was actually she was not employed by by the company, by the bookstore. She was on a casual role, and she honestly said, you know, I actually don't know what to do in this case. I'm so sorry. But there was, well, one other person that was really busy, so I waited for a while to speak to someone else. I couldn't, but she also told me because of the lockdown, it is possible that we actually prolong the period of time in which you can bring back a deck. So I don't know if it shows on camera, but so the majority of cards have scratches on them. I'm really not sure whether you can see it or not. Some of them have really clear scratches where even the coat, the top coat is removed, has been damaged so much that it's removed. So it is not something. Let me just go through the entire deck and show you the worst card, which is ironically the Fool card, which I haven't seen. Well, there's the Chariot as well. Just a big disclaimer, it does make me very uncomfortable. There you go. So this is the Fool card, and this is this blemish on the hair of the character. This is not just, let's say, a color related damage. This is actually the card has been damaged, and I don't know if I do like this, perhaps you can see there's a really big dent on the card, and to the point that I couldn't even rehome this deck, because, you know, when you rehome a deck you have to disclose a certain you know, a few things obviously, and when there's damage it's a big no-no. Or you can eventually, but you have to sell it with a really huge discount, And since this deck was still something around $40–50 Australian, and you know, there's a couple of things, and I really thought, oh, okay, well, there's another one which shows a lot of scratches in here again. My apologies if you can't see anything and you probably go, you're exaggerating. I know, I understand, because through the lens it's actually difficult to notice them. But again, I have to say, it makes me very uncomfortable because of, well, OCD for one, but because, you know, and I even thought, and maybe I'm exaggerating, but I even thought, if I pay full price for a deck and it's new and it's sealed and everything, shouldn't the bookstore be able to point that out to the publisher and get a copy? So this card is literally just bent. I don't know how that happened. How is that even possible when it was sealed? Well, that's what happened. So when she said, you know, because of the lockdown, we might actually extend the return period. And I thought, okay, well, it makes sense because obviously if the shop is closed, I can't return it. And then it was my fault. I waited too long. I waited for another couple of weeks, even though lockdown had been lifted from the week before. So when I went back, I spoke to someone who had more experience in the company, in the bookstore, and they said, sorry, we can accept it. Because even though, yes, we were in lockdown, we did reopen a week ago. And, you know, just for a few days, you're out of the window in which you could rehome it. I thought it was a bit unfair because I've been a client of Kinokuniya's for, well, ever since I moved to Sydney, 17, going on 18 years ago. So I thought, and they have so I have a card, a loyalty membership kind of card. Anyway, woohoo, right? I'm crying on it. No, I'm not crying. So it's just a deck. It is what it is. It's fine. But because of that, I just can't pick up the deck because every time that I want to work with these kind of vibes or vibrant colors, you know, minimalist style, rather peepish, but you know, it's actually a really good deck. I love these colors. I find myself picking up the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum with this kind of finish, which is the Infinity Edition, which is an incredibly beautiful deck. It is an indie deck, although. So let me just, you know, put them side by side to give you an idea. Now, this one is very shiny. Sorry, that was upside down. That's why I couldn't find the opening. It is a very shiny deck. It's really beautiful, but it does live in my mind in the same space as the Mystic Mondays. And it's very deep. I really love it. I'm not saying that it's the same deck, but it does feel that kind of, it responds to that kind of needs for me. And it doesn't have any defect or damage, any flaw on the cards, even though I can assure you maintaining this deck is, whoa, you really need to take extra care when you use the cards on the Holy Spectrum video, because let me show you, it's got mirror-like, you know, you can see my camera, hello, hi camera, so it's got mirror-like backs, and so obviously within the deck itself came with some kind of an instruction for caring for the deck. So obviously it's a very, I don't mean to say fragile, but it's a very delicate kind of deck, and it can get damaged. And yes, you know, the one that came damaged was the Mystic Mondays. So I don't know if you see what I see, but I do feel like there's a lot of common traits between these two. And whenever I want to use this kind of energy and I tell myself, oh, that's a good day to use the Mystic Mondays, and I look at my decks and I've probably made a mistake of putting these two together. So I see the Holy Spectrum, I'm like, you know, I really want to use the Holy Spectrum instead. So again, if you have the Mystic Mondays, tell me what you think about the deck, and you know, if you recommend using it, you know, how do you use it? How do you like it? Let me know. Again, every time I see this full card, I try also to kind of, you know, use a really soft kind of cloth to clean it. Because anyway, I don't want to repeat myself. It's got all sorts of problems, and it is what it is. That's my mind going in overdrive and making me very uncomfortable. Let me know what you think. So the next deck may be a surprise because it's actually a deck that I used to enjoy very much. It's the Housewives Tarot by Paul Capel and Jude Buffum. And it's a really whimsical one. It comes with all the different, let's say, tags. Now I've put them out, first of all, because I found myself always damaging them. I don't know if you can see, but this one has an ear. So it looks very much like one of those recipe boxes, you know, where you have the tags and you put the recipes in between, if it's a starter recipe, if it's a main dish recipe, if it's a dessert recipe, etc. But because I was damaging them when I was using them, I actually put them aside. And the deck itself is this one, so it's got a really nice guidebook as well. So I'm saying positive things about this. It's whimsical, it's funny. I'm not a fan of the cardstock. It really feels like paper with a little bit of, not sure it does have a core. It might, it's not the worst. Like, I've had decks that you could literally just very gently do like that and it would just rip on the edges. It is not entirely the case for this one, but it doesn't feel like a sturdy deck. That is not one of the reasons why I cannot pick it up no matter what. The reason why I cannot pick it up no matter what is because every time I think about the vibe that triggers the need to use this deck in specific, I reach out for a different deck instead. By the way, this is the box. In the world card, you see this, and this is literally what the box would look like had I put the tags in order like that. So the other deck I reach for when I have this kind of urge, let's say, is the Zombie Tarot. And the Zombie Tarot is very similar because you see the setup is also very similar. The box, you know, in this way. The kind of art style is very similar as well. So if you notice, is this upside down? Yes, it is. So I'm just gonna put them side by side to give you a comparison. But let me do like this because we've seen those cards already. It is also a cardboardy kind of cardstock, and but it is more sturdy, definitely more sturdy. You feel that, you know, you can mistreat this deck. So I reach for it. It's very whimsical. Okay, they're both very whimsical. This one is the Housewives from the you know, the Stepford wife, the one of the 50s. It does have a lot of that art style, but also actual style of clothing, even hairstyle. There's a couple of images from the kitchen or the house or the cars, you know, related to that era. And obviously it refers to that. This one has a little bit of that as well, I have to say, you know, but it's more, this is definitely an outfit from the 50s for me, and also, you know, the hat or the hairstyle, etc. And ironically, you know, it looks like this is the same person that it first is the fool and then it becomes the lover. So it's kind of funny to use these two together. And I know that I keep on saying reasons why to actually pick up this deck, but at the end of the day, I just pick up the Zombie Tarot and I end up leaving the Housewives Tarot behind on the shelf. And because they do have that kind of, they're both collage, although this one has some element of photography as well, this one doesn't. I don't know what to say. I just... I guess I'm asking for advice on this one as well. Do you have the Housewives Tarot? And if you do, and sorry, but the Seven of Wands, this to me, it makes me cringe so much, because I actually watched an episode of the Mythbusters. So there's this couple of guys that bust every kind of myth, in the sense that, you know, you think that by... Sorry, I'm going to talk about something really gross. Should I or should I not? I don't know if I should. But if you look at this image, you understand what I mean. So the Mythbusters actually busted that myth. You don't end up with the contamination on your toothbrush. if when you flush the toilet. Okay, I'm just gonna say quietly. But this card really makes me whinge. I do have a bit of a overcleaning kind of problem. And so sometimes I actually force myself to watch these kind of, you know, busting those myths kind of videos because it makes me feel better. But I don't know if I should believe them or not. Anyway, why did we end up talking about this? Do you see how cool it is to use these two together? And you would think that being myself, someone who really enjoys pairing up tarot with tarot, tarot with oracle, oracle with oracle, I would go, hey, these two are really cool together. I'm gonna always use them together, but I don't. I just don't. I just don't find myself reaching for, look, reaching for both the decks or even reaching for just the housewife. So I'm asking you, and by the way, I love pairing the zombie tarot with the Oracle of Curiosities. It's a match made in heaven, because there's the Oracle of Curiosity, which is all serious, you know. If you don't know, the Oracle of Curiosities is very similar, it's by the same author, it's very similar to the Antique Anatomy Tarot. So it's got all sorts of, you know, old vintage kind of prints related to anatomy, so bones and organs and stuff, and sometimes depending on which edition you have, it's paired up with plants as well. And you know, these three will go really well together, but then again, even though there is the link between the Oracle of Oddities with the Antique Anatomy prints and the zombie tarot, but that link is missing from the housewife. And so every time that I'm trying to use the housewife by pairing it up with other oracle decks or tarot decks, I always find myself reaching for the zombie instead. Maybe it's the fascination of the zombies, I don't know, that could be it. In any case, let me know what you think. So this next deck is also going to be a little bit of a surprise, and it's heartbreaking. Because I would love to feel like I want to use it, and I kind of, you know, I try and stimulate interest in myself to use this deck, but no matter what edition, I've changed. The first edition that I got had several problems for me. I couldn't even read the titles on the deck. I couldn't shuffle the cards because it was one of those older kind of rose petal top coating, so the cards were just gluing one to the other. Then I move on to a new edition that was a lot smoother. Still can't read the titles, still can't bring myself to use it, can't bring myself to pick it up no matter what. Which one is it? It is the Meraki Tarot. I think you probably know. And this is really heartbreaking for me because in general, I absolutely love Bouchet Designs decks. In particular, there's the latest one, or one of the latest ones, which is called the Metanoia Marseille. I think it's one of the most beautiful Marseilles I've ever seen. Seriously, it's, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. I still have to, I have spent a lot of money in February in decks. If you haven't watched my videos, my Tarot Life video where I show more or less all the decks and all the whole videos that I posted in February, you will know that I've spent so much money on decks because I was traveling. So I bought decks in Italy, I bought decks in France, I bought decks in Ireland. Yes, it was painful, and I'm feeling the effect of that. You know, it's like a hangover in the month of March, and I'm trying to limit my purchases. But then again, they decided to move the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival in Sydney from May, which is when they normally hold it, to this weekend. So guess what? I'm probably gonna spend a lot of money. Anyway, so the Meraki is supposed to be really beautiful, and it even came with a few oracle cards, which I really, really appreciate. I have to say, I have nothing against the production this time. Not that I had something against the production. I mean, a production is a production. You can like it or not. I mean, but I feel that they've done a fantastic job. I really love also these cards, for example, the astrology and the element related to the card for the major arcanas, because sometimes it's easy to identify the elements in the minors, but not always in the majors. The word association. So they've done a fantastic job when it comes to the, let's say, the product value, the production, etc. So again, but for none of these decks I have negative vibes. I have a negative comment for none of these, okay? So this is not something to say I don't like this deck. As a matter of fact, I really like it, but I just don't reach for it. And I can't bring myself to pick it up no matter what, which is the whole thing of the tag. So as you can see, it is gorgeous. I'm sure you're familiar with this deck because it literally is an amazing deck. And the first edition came with borders. I think the cardstock of the first edition was also matte, but not rose petal. I could be wrong. This one is rose petal, but it's not as sticky, let's say, as the second edition. This is the third edition. I may have heard that there's a fourth edition in the making. I'm not entirely sure. This one is, some cards to me, they look a little bit too soft. I did prefer the second edition when it comes to the art style or the sharpness of the cards. But I find that after using it for a while and bringing myself to use it for a while, I actually didn't mind anymore. So I can't even say that it's because of that I don't reach out for it. And again, it might be, the culprit might not be this deck, it might be a different deck that I feel like I want to reach out every time I need this kind of vibe. I actually end up reaching out for the Pacific Northwest Tarot by Brenda Marnell. I'm not saying it's the same deck, but I have to say this is probably the most similar deck that I've got to the Meraki. The color palette is very similar. Yes, it's got a border, but it's more like a line than a border, because then you can still see the continuation of the drawing in the borders as well, so I don't really count it as border. It's got a different, a similar art style as well, not entirely the same, but very similar as well. In many cases, we see the same animals. I do believe that the Pacific Northwest Tarot obviously is based on the animal present in the area, the Pacific Northwest region, but in some cases it shares the same animal. It's just that when I feel like I need a nature-based deck, animal-based deck, and also a kind deck, because both of these decks are really kind. When it comes to divination, it's not that they hide the truth from you, they still give you really good readings, really sharp readings. But they do so in such a way that they don't slap you in the face. This is not a Barbara Walker tarot, okay, far from it. And if you know the Barbara Walker tarot, you will know what I mean with that. So the Barbara Walker is, you know, it's like I went to school in a private school with French nuns, and they, oh my goodness, discipline was number one. The number one thing was discipline. As a matter of fact, I'm still in touch with some of my classmates because we just bonded a lot. You know, we just really bonded a lot. And so we still have discussions about, was it okay, what was going on? Because the discipline, the level of discipline and the punishments, I don't know. This is a very delicate kind of topic, but back then, we thought it was okay. We thought it was okay. We thought it was normal. Our parents thought it was normal. I was never disciplined because I never needed to be. But some of my classmates went through a really tough time. But I just wanted to tell you that the Barbara Walker feels like that kind of a really, really serious, severe, you know, Severus Snape kind of teacher. you know, and these two decks could not be more further away than the Barbara Walker, in their messages and the way in which they actually tell you the message and everything. I don't know, again, I'm asking for advice. I have to say this is my favorite Nine of Pentacles. How beautiful is this card? I love the Kitsune concept, the fox, of course, but I also love the fact that there is this element of closing their eyes, and it looks almost as if, you know, they were just hit by the wind, a gust of wind right now, and they just breathing in, you know, taking a moment to breathe in, because they had this windfall, you know, the Nine of Pentacles, they had this lucky moment, perhaps after a lot of work, and it feels like they're enjoying the moment, and I just absolutely love that card. But I'm asking, so do you have the Meraki? Which edition do you have? Which one do you prefer? Do you use it? How do you use it? I absolutely love this star card as well, by the way. I do pay attention to the star card. Recently I was asked, there is something in the making. It's a really fun, cool project with a rather famous, you know, person in the tarot community. So I'm very excited about it, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you. When the time comes, I will definitely, you know, spread the news. But we were talking about our favorite cards in our latest interaction, and I was saying definitely the Queen of Swords, because it's my I do identify with the Queen of Swords, even though it is a bit of a mix with the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Cups. But also the Star card. The Star card is by far one of my favorite cards, because it's the card of Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius, of course, and I'm so proud. I am so proud that we are so lucky that we got the best card in the major arcanas. And that compensates for the fact that when you look at the minor arcanas, we got the 5, 6, and 7 of swords, which are not the best card in a deck. So, you know, if you think that it's unfair that we got the star card, yes, but we also got some of the worst cards as well in the deck. So, you know, it compensates for that. So, but in any case, so the star card is definitely one of my favorite cards, and this one is a magnificent card. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really asking for help. What do you use it for, and why do you like it, if you like it? The last deck that I want to show you today in the category of decks that I can't pick up no matter what, and I'm asking for help in re-evaluating my position, is also probably a surprise. This is a deck that is not very popular. I have never seen it in any channel, so it's gonna be difficult to find someone who's got it. It was a Kickstarter, but they didn't print a lot of decks. So this is the Raincoast Visions Tarot by Christoph James, same author, by the way, of the Raincoast Tarot and the Aleister Crowley Tarot. I have to say I am so very grateful to James and the team, because, to Christoph and the team, because at least until the last time I checked, they ship for free to Australia, which is, oh my goodness, is unheard of. They're based in Canada. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. And so I'm so very grateful. And I have all of the other decks. And I love the Raincoast. I have the light version of the Raincoast with the white borders, and also the lighter kind of tones, but I also love the black ones, and I love the Aleister Crowley Tarot. It's a very intense kind of deck. So I don't want to say anything negative, and I have nothing negative to say about this deck. It's just that I can't bring myself to pick it up. So let me just show you the deck, because as I said, I don't think there's a lot of people who actually have this. So it's a very intense. It is confirmed to be AI. It is a very intense deck, as you can see, very intense deck. It's one of those AI with a reason, AI with intention. Let's put it this way. It's not just AI I click on the mouse, on a button. It does have, so for example, because just saying something without showing doesn't mean anything. So this is the Ace of Swords, as you can see. The keywords are breakthroughs, mental clarity, but I don't even need them because I immediately noticed the third eye on the forehead of the character, and that opens up a whole interpretation, a whole world of interpretation about the Ace of Swords and the Suit of Swords, which is the suit of air, and as an alchemical element is referring back to the mind. So this is the suit of the mind. I love the way in which it has been portrayed. So it is, as I said, an intentional, an AI with intention. Okay, I don't know if it makes sense, but to me, this is not in the same space as someone, you see them all the time on Kickstarter now, to the point that it has become a little bit boring. But everyone and their brother is just producing a deck by using AI, and they're not even that beautiful anymore. Like at the beginning they were interesting, but now it's so recognizable that it's kind of boring. This reminds me of Rasputin, by the way, and it makes sense again. Why? Because it's the Hierophant, so there is that kind of a sense of religion, because Rasputin was a monk, even though, let's say, he was a monk, but mostly was a political influencer rather than a religious person. So the intent saves this deck. I strongly believe in that. Do I like it? Every time I see this Hermit card, I think to myself, but it does cover. It does scratch that particular itch, because I do. How should I say this? I respond to very strong, powerful, intense, sometimes even scary or disturbing. Can I say disturbing without any kind of negative connotation? Disturbing sometimes is good, okay? Disturbing sometimes is good. It's functioning. It's useful, let's put it this way. I do respond to this kind of images, but I just can't bring myself to pick it up. And again, I'm asking, I know this is going to be difficult because I've never seen it, not even on Instagram, anywhere. I mean, if you pick up the tag, there will be a few posts on Instagram with this deck, but not that many. So if you have this deck, tell me why you like it. If you like it, how do you use it? What do you think? I don't want this to be a discussion on AI, because that's not what it is. I did have a discussion on AI in a different video, but it's not for today. The reason why also I'm not picking it up is because I'm reaching for this one instead. And this one is not AI, but again, I don't want to make it so. A discussion on that. So this is the Magicians, Martyrs and Madmen Tarot by Travis McHenry. This is the Rockpool edition, not the indie edition, which, by the way, I'm not entirely sure, but I think Travis is so busy lately. Like, he's remade the Occult and the other deck with the angels. So it's got two decks published by Rockpool. One is about angels, one is about demons. I think one is called the Occult and the other one is called the Angel Tarot. I think they remade them, combining the two, so the demon and the angel in the same card, which could be extremely interesting, by the way. I don't think it's already out. It might be, but I'm going to the Mind Body Spirit festival in Sydney this weekend. As I said, Rockpool is gonna have a stand there, and Blue Angels as well. I'm very excited about Blue Angel. Rockpool, let's see, because I had a negative experience with them the last time. They refused basically they refused to have a nice chat about tarot when I told them that I have a YouTube channel, which is odd because everyone else was really on board, and I'm so very grateful, because every time that I go to Mind Body Spirit, I actually, now they know me, they welcome me, they some of the the people that have a stand that which is always about there's so many interests that I cannot way to go. And if you watch my mind, body, spirit, whole videos, you will notice what I mean, because I take a lot of footage. I talk to the people behind the stand, you know, selling their own products, and it's always really nice conversations. And I don't understand why Rockpool declined that. So I'm gonna try again. Let's see what they say this time. In any case, I think I have the feeling that it was one of the new girls that was not comfortable with, I don't know what she thought it was going to be, because it's nothing official. It's just a YouTube channel, guys. I mean, in any case, I reached for the Madman. Let's call it the 3M tarot, Magician, Madman, and the Magician, Martyrs, and Madman. That's because it does cover the same space for me. It's very provocative. It is in some cases disturbing. Mostly because of the stories behind the protagonist of the cards, not because of the artwork in specific, but it does cover that space for me. And every time that I need to do some work related to that, I reach out for this deck rather than this deck, even though, you know, they are both beautiful. And I'm not going to rehome the Rank of Vision because I actually like to have it in my collection. It's just that I would love to be able to reach out for it more, and I just can't pick it up. So if you have this deck, let me know. Again, I'll be really grateful for any kind of additional information you can give me, or inspiration or ideas. I'm always grateful for any kind of interaction. But that was it for today, and as always, thanks so much for staying with me till the end of this video. More to come. Have a great day.